Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to do a reading. I'm going to read into this current energy that we're in right now. I'm probably going to jump into the cards pretty quickly. I'm really curious what's going to come through today for us. What I've been feeling is this huge emptying out. And I know a lot of us were feeling that in terms of like our homes. And so I like all last week, right? Well, that's the other thing. I have no concept of time. I don't know what day it is. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm just like, so that kind of like emptying out, like, oh my gosh. And so anyway, at some point last week, I just started clearing my home, like clearing my home, getting rid of things, organizing things, making things more efficient, like things that just didn't make sense, like why am I doing this like this, and just rearranging everything, getting new things to replace things that weren't working or weren't nice or whatever. Huge. That's like all I did. I spent one day now, and it feels like for us, it coincided with our first snowy weather. Now it's warm again, but we had snow, and it was, really dreary and rainy and then snowy, and I spent an entire day inside my house. But even if it wasn't raining and snowing, I would have spent that entire day inside my house. In fact, I have a friend in Mexico, and it certainly wasn't snowing there. And she was in that same energy, this just like really inward, really feminine, really yin energy. And I just tended to my home. But even when I was done with that, it was like I was tending on the energy level. And I used to do that all the time. Like I would just hole up in my house. Sometimes I wouldn't leave for days. I would just stay in my jammies, and I would just like dive into those realms and like just, creative energy and painting and collaging and, this kind of thing. And I've been in more of my yang energy recently, the last few years since my daughter came to live with me. And so I reconnected with that great spaciousness because she's been away more now. I'm having more time to myself, but I know this is a collective energy as well. Like, doesn't matter what the personal circumstances are. There is an energy for a lot of us of just kind of pulling back. I think it's probably true whether you're in the northern or the southern hemisphere. Again, it's not necessarily seasonal. It's sort of something about this collective energy right now. So pulling back and clearing out. I know a lot of us also are having a lot of like still those like perfect divinely timed cosmic triggers to get us to clear out as well. And what's interesting for me is, again, I've been in that yang energy, and I've been really, really busy with sessions and readings for like months and months, and it's just been kind of nonstop. And nonstop for me is like, just like a portion of my day. I still start my day really late, and I take time in the morning for the sun and my feet on the earth, and I spend time in nature. And so I feel like I have a pretty balanced life, but all of a sudden it's like everything kind of was like gone. There was just like nothing on my plate, including down at Mystic where I read tarot on Saturdays. They're renovating now. And so I'm not going to be down there for like months. And there's a part of me that's like, am I even going back? And not because I don't want to, and not because I feel that they don't want me to. It's just, it feels like everything's up for grabs right now. Like another one of those, like, whew, everything goes up in the air, and then you just kind of have to let the pieces rearrange, and whatever leaves, and whatever comes in. It's like this sort of suspension. And even like what we've been doing with our houses, in our spaces, like clearing things out, bringing in new things. If you're relating to that, I know a lot of us were doing that. Finding things. I've been finding things, and I shared this, and if we're friends on Facebook, you might have seen this. I found like the very first Lemurian quartz that I ever got, that I really journeyed with, and it was like a large part of me awakening to memories, subconscious memories, and I found that, and I mean, I literally just stepped on it and was like, oh, what's this? And picked it up. I hadn't seen it in like years, and so all that, like, again, the things thrown up in the air, and like, what do you discover in that? What leaves and what goes? And so definitely that type of energy for me. If you've been watching these, I've been talking about those survival fears that a lot of people are going through, and myself included, in the sense that I'm losing my food stamps, and so it's a big chunk of money for my daughter and I every month, and so I have been really, really busy. So I was like, oh, okay, everything's kind of flowing, and I was guided to sort of like make new flyers and start doing readings out of my home before I even found out that I was losing them, and so I felt all this spirit guidance, having all the spirit guidance, but then like everything went off the table. So I felt like it was this real, like, again, the cosmic setup to be like, are you going to be nervous? And it was a test for me where like I would have moments where I'd be like, well, if this continues, I'm not going to have enough for what we need. But immediately, and I was talking about this in the last reading too, where it's like the fear neural pathway has weakened and the trust neural pathway has strengthened. So it's like, even if we are in situations that are really kind of crunching us and testing to see if we're going to fall into fear, it's like, for a lot of us, it's really easy not to. And even if we are falling into fear, it's part of, and I was talking about this in that last reading too, part of that sort of like going back and forth between dimensional frequencies, the fear frequency, the lack and limitation frequency, and the abundance frequency, which is a frequency that we're being attuned to, we're being encouraged to attune to, and we're training ourselves every time we go into the fear, and it might unravel us or crunch us, a dark night of the soul. When we pull out, which we always do, we strengthen that neural pathway. So I was talking about that in that last reading more. Until that dominant neural pathway is one of trust, where you start to attune and align to that abundance frequency. And when you're living in attuned and aligned and having your channel and your senses out for that, then that's what you get more of, and that's what you get to experience. Because again, we're creating from what we're focusing on. Okay, so dismantling, sloughing off, and part of that emptying out is just getting rid of what represents and is that old energy. So we were also talking that last time about those sort of like article affirmations or things that you can do to remind yourself in your home or in your lifestyle that helps you anchor the energy of that abundance frequency as we start to transition into that being our way of living, right? And that kind of thing. And so this emptying out seems to be really connected to that and a part of that, where it's like just sort of disengaging from all of the noise. I really cut back my my interaction on Facebook as well. I was feeling really overwhelmed by a lot of the posts and just all the information. Like if it was like nature or something really kind of simple and grounded, then it was fine. But I'm really sensitive right now to any. I think I always am, but I'm sensitive particularly to frequency. Any kind of like rogue signal I was talking about in that last reading as well. Any kind of frequency that's a little off. So anything with any kind of AI component, I can't look at. I can't, even if the message is, even if I really like the person and I resonate with what they're saying and I attune to the message and that type of thing. It's like if there's that AI frequency in there, I just can't do anything that's not super organic and soul sourced right now. And I feel really strong guidance on that. So that's part of it too, that emptying out, clearing out the energy, and also taking the time to just know our own. It's like it's all about the soul right now and the soul signatures and the soul truth. And so taking that time to be in our own energy or in our own homes or in our own, around our own creations with our own thoughts, just that quietness and the reconnection with ourselves and our organic truth. And so there's been a lot for me as well around, like, I don't know if you go through this, where like this will happen in phases for me. And I think it's usually happening when there's like a crossover energy where things are leaving and other things are coming online, where I'll have these memories. Like all of a sudden I just like realize that like, for example, I was meditating the other morning. Oh, that's the other thing. So we've been having a lot of geomagnetic storming from that. I think it was a CME that came in, and I didn't know anything about this. I just knew that my body was feeling really weird. And then eventually, after a few days, I looked it up and was like, oh, okay, the solar winds are high. Like for me, it's always like the neck pain and like pain the whole way down my spine and headaches and some sinus congestion and stuff like that. And so it's very, very common for me with the geomagnetic storming to have that type of energy. And so it's that purging and that crunching and that sloughing off. So I was having that in the morning when I was down at the desert house at my son's house. And I was sitting there and I was meditating. And I found myself, I've been talking about how I've been doing this toning accidentally. I just like, oh, I'm doing it again. Like I'm just making a sound, and so I was doing that. I had my eyes closed and I was doing that. And I realized that I was at the river. I was at this, because there are these three different parts of the river that I go to. They were actually in different directions. And one's like this and one's totally other direction, but all part of the same river. And so that it's just like, like deep like soul time for me with the rivers. And so when I did that toning, and I have toned at the rivers before, so maybe that's why it happened. But as I was toning, I realized I was at one of the places of the river, and it has a really specific feel to it. Like all the different spots that I go to have very, very, very specific energy. One is very feminine with very soft mountains, and another one feels really kind of galactic and harsh, and like these pyramids and harsh mountains. And the other one has a real like the Membranos, the original, some of the original people that were here, like farmers, and it's the spot of the rivers near the cliff dwellings in New Mexico, where I live, where some of the native people used to live. So you can feel that energy there, and that's where I was. So it had a real specific signature. And I was standing in this area where there were wild hops that grow, and I was just like in this space, and it was like, and then I realized like, oh, I'm astrally there, like I'm actually there. And then I started doing a different. I stopped my toning, and when I started again, it was a different tone that came out, and I was really just with the tone. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm at the other river. I'm at the feminine river. I'm at the soft river. And wow, so then it stopped again. And before another tone even started, I was at the other river. So it was like just this sort of like astral traveling, unconscious, no thoughts. You just spaced out, and you realize you're there. So I've been having that type of thing, and also things from my childhood, different places that I used to go to. But it's like an astral travel where it's really, really visceral. Like you're actually there. So I don't know what I'm doing, if I'm connecting with like, maybe I'm clearing like thoughts or patterns that I was really embodying at a certain time in that certain place at that certain point in my life. And I'm hooking up with that. I don't know. I've never really understood what that is. I don't know if anybody else has thoughts on that. I'd love to hear them, because it doesn't always happen, but there are times where it's really, really thick, where I'm just like, oh my gosh, now I'm in Pittsburgh. Oh my gosh, now I'm like in the gymnasium of my high school. Like what is going on? Why? And there are certain spots that I go to regularly, and I don't know, but it's interesting. So that's been happening. So a lot of retrieving, and even like the crystal that I found. Like what are we retrieving? What are we retrieving? So a lot of things like that feels like a really potent time of feminine energy, where we're going into ourselves really, really deeply. And that's what I was getting at, to retrieve these either power places that we connecting to energies within us, represented by external things that probably are matches to energy within us. The rich, fertile, like farming land of the one river with the caves, and then the feminine energy, the other one, and the galactic energy, just these different, it's that shape-shifting thing again, moving into different aspects of ourselves, and really pulling away from the world. Like today, I did have a reading today. I've had a little bit each week, just a little bit, not like before it'd be like, oh my gosh, I'd have like 10 things in 1 week. And now I'm like, I have one, and it feels really, really good. And just trusting and knowing that this inward time that I'm having right now, if you're relating to this inward time is really important, because it's like we're integrating parts of ourselves that are going to be necessary for the next step. And that's the other thing that I've been feeling. It's almost like holding vigil with ourselves, where we're just in our own energy. And maybe not, I'm sure not everybody's relating to this, but I do feel that it's quite collective, like marinating in your energy, or even feeling that you want to, like, even if you can't, just having like more moments of that in your day, or like really like appreciating those times when you get to whatever you get to do when you're alone for a moment, take a bath, or like sit out in the sun, or just like, gosh, walk down the street by yourself or something, like where it's just pieces of ourselves that are really wanting to come online. Let me jump into the cards and see what wants to come through. Sticking through with that. Oh, that's interesting. Electric eel spirit, bring your ideas to life. Wow. Well, that is interesting. That's to me, that feels like a real Uranus type of energy. I haven't been following the astrology, so I don't know what a lot of you I know the planets in the astrology, what's going on. Maybe there's something going on with Uranus right now, but like where something comes in out of left field. And I think that's part of what can really happen when we take that time to ourselves, or when we're just in our own energy and we're not really being influenced, like me with getting kicked off of Facebook by my soul, where I can't read a lot right now. I can't be exposed to other people's thoughts. I think it's because there's a lot that's wanting to come through our own channels, through our own intuition. for us right now. Maybe nobody will really watch this one because not a lot of people were watching that last reading either, and that was like right as we were right as I was feeling called in to go deeply within myself. So we might just not be interested in communing right now. So the Six of Wands, a victory card, a victory. That's interesting. Let me pull a little bit more and just feel into this energy right now. Let's see. Okay, that's two. Oh, the Six of Swords. So that's two sixes. Oh my God. And this is a 6 too. The 4 and the 2 and the 6. So the 6 is for me always coming through and it is 666. But you know, for me, that's a real feminine energy and the energy of anchoring down on the earth. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Pulling down our unique version of all that is, our unique expression through our vessel, through our channel, which has been composed of everything that we've done on our soul's journey and everything that we've done and experienced in this lifetime, right? This container. And in this point in human evolution, in this organic moment, anchoring it down. And so that alone time of taking time for ourselves. And if you've been feeling that call and you haven't made time for that, it's kind of a good reminder or invitation to do that with this message is here being there's a lot of ideas or things that want to come through our intuition for us that is helping us. So again, the 666, but this is helping us to move on. The Six of Swords, the Six of Air is a lot about seeing 360. All of a sudden you can see, you know, it's like there's a lot of mental energy going on here where the ideas, you know, the things coming through where all of a sudden you're seeing, but it's coming through your intuitive center. So you're seeing something you couldn't see before. All of a sudden, you know what to let go of, even like in real physical levels, like in our homes, you know, like get rid of that dish rack. It's gross. Get another one. You know, that was my thing. I bought myself a dish rack for my birthday, you know, and some knives. Cause I when I made my duck for Christmas, I accidentally, somehow the knife got in the oven and it melted, the handle melted. So new knives. Anyway, stuff like that, right? Like just knowing what needs to go, right? Knowing what needs to go, what needs to be let go of, and then taking action on that, taking action. So that's a physical example, but in our relational lives as well, in our professional lives, whatever our services are, knowing how to do things differently. And like for me, like with the pulling back of my energy, and then because I noticed that whenever I'm going through something really inward, I don't have sessions or readings. And it's been like this for 16 years. I haven't been doing the tarot readings for that long. That's been about 3 years. But I've been doing energy work for 16 years. So I've observed this where when I'm going through an inner self time, there's nothing. It's almost like the universe is responding, right? It's responding to the highest need. And sometimes that highest need is to just be within. And so that can be kind of scary when you're worrying about money, you know, when money, and I think for a lot of us, you know, there's survival issues up right now. And yet that inner time of really reconnecting with our inspiration, again, the sixes, with our divine channel, and giving it a platform to anchor in our homes or in our quiet time or in nature is important. It's important because it feels almost like holding vigil. I think I said that already, where it's like something's coming and we're preparing for it. Something's coming and we're preparing for it. And what we're doing right now is helping us to see, however this is presenting for you, there's something in the energies of helping us to see what we couldn't see before, so that we're able to make those decisions that help us to move on from something else. So again, we're moving out of a certain energy. We're moving out of that year, the snake energy, into this sort of fiery, you know, activating movement energy. But there's a lot that's still and dying and clearing off right now. So if you are in a position like me where, like, you know, with my example, like, oh gosh, it would be really comforting to my human if I continued to have a lot of sessions and readings and money coming in, as I'm about to lose a big chunk of money. But intuitively, when everything went away, it was like, this is actually what's most supportive. It's actually what's most supportive because it's getting me into this position of seeing and clearing, where I'm going to be able to hold space for what's coming. That's what my intuition keeps telling me, which is great because my human mind could definitely be worried. But again, the intuition is louder. Let's see what this other card is. Oh, the Knight of Cups. So the Knight of Cups has been coming through for me, especially especially in this deck, as a card of self-care and self-listening. So that's just really validating this energy that it feels like a lot of us are in, just kind of being with ourselves, and so again, that really eliminates any of the energy leaks. And so again, with the sort of rogue signals or inorganic signals that are just becoming more and more normalized in our world, through the things that are obvious, our cell phones, our cell towers, all the electronic frequencies, but also through the AI and through a lot of the just there's a certain, I was talking about this in the last time too, the way the energy moves with that stuff, and it can just, even if people use it, for helpful ways, it still has a certain signature that can jostle the nervous system, and it can be taxing, and eventually it kind of catches up with us, where we're like, oh God, I just feel so exhausted. It's the same thing with the solar energy coming in. It rattles our nervous system, which in this case is good, because it again rattles things loose, and then we're able to release them, even if we can't see them in that instance. But yeah, just the nervous system rattles, and being really careful with that kind of stuff, because when our nervous systems are off, then our channel is off, right? Our channel can be off, and then hearing our own ideas and our own inspiration from our own soul is it's harder to access. So I feel like a lot of us feeling sort of that exhaustion, or just more of an interest in this inner realm, and in our own self-care, taking care of ourselves, pulling back. I really needed to go to the co-op today and get some food, but I just don't want to go out. I just absolutely do not want to go out. So I'm just going to scrounge around and figure out something to eat, just so I don't have to leave my house, because I'm feeling so nourished by this very inward self-care energy. It is like a nervous system repair, but it's also like a receiving. Again, receiving. This is bringing your ideas to life. It's like there's something that we're receiving to bring to life, and we need to make the time and pull back our energies to do that. So it's like the yin, and then later comes the yang. So it's like we're wrapping up the yin of the snake before we move into the yang of the fire horse. And it just feels really important right now. Maybe this goes on for another month until we move into that energy. I don't know, but if it does, it's like to just honor it, even if it makes you nervous, if it's like me, with the human part where you can feel a little nervous, or like you have to get something. It's just honoring whatever it is. When it's time to be out, be out. When it's time to be in, and trust the timing of it, because the more that we can surrender. And it's the same thing with our bodies. And I was talking about this last time too, when we have something moving through our bodies, the more we can surrender and just allow ourselves to feel weird, or to have pain, or like knowing that we're clearing something that's part of this moving on. It's part of the emptying out that's been going on in our homes. It's going on in our bodies. This home as well, this one that's holding all these things that we've done. And allowing that and honoring that, and knowing that's part of the yin and the yang together, right? So there's a lot about it. My sister and I were communing about this. We were both experiencing it. And when we put it together, and that's the other thing about the collaborative energy, when you put together and you're open and you share these deep kind of inward things with others, we realize we anchor the energy, and we open up the channel. And we're able to ground it together even more. Where two or more gather. That seems to be quite a message that keeps coming through intuition and through what I'm observing in life. And so we were both feeling this yin and this yang, this masculine and feminine energy, and the balance of that, and honoring it and not judging it. And of course, in this society, we're really trained to be very yang. And if we're in our yin energy and we're not being productive, especially if we're, it's like I'm a single mom, my kids are older, but I'm still providing for them. I'm still momming it, I'm still parenting. And so it's like, it's kind of all on me, and yet still trusting that it's not as linear, right? The conditioning, always coming outside of the conditioning, and trusting your soul and your soul journey to weave those polarities in for you to stabilize the platform that you're walking on. And that's that abundance flow again, right? The abundance flow. When you're aligned with the abundance flow, then all your needs are taken care of. And how do you align with it? And we always talk about this, the masculine and the feminine polarities in our being, bringing your ideas to life. The action, the yang part of you listening to and taking action on the ideas, but you got to make time for that intuition, for that stuff to percolate up, to arise from beneath. If you're feeling dry and uninspired and, just kind of strung out, spend time with your soul so that she can whisper to you, and she can be the muse, so that you can find your own muse to show you to show your inner masculine the next step, right? And having that, and this being a real time of that yin energy. So we were talking about that, and just honoring both, and trusting the wisdom, and knowing that your soul, which is an expression of both polarities, knows how to do this. So again, another message of kind of dropping out of the linear mindset, dropping out of the program, dropping out of the fear, dropping out of the instruction manual out here, and allowing the deep wisdom of your soul to guide you. And when it pulls you back, listen. When it pulls you back, listen. And for me, before, I was so inward, and like I said, so in my own energy and in my creative projects, and I was like all feminine in a way, I didn't have a really good balance. And then I went the other extreme, and I got really pulled out when my daughter came to live with me, and then I was invited to read down at Mystic, and I didn't want to leave my house. I only wanted to do things in my house or through FaceTime, through this. I didn't want to leave my house, but I did, it felt right. I followed the energy, even though for like a decade, I was very, very, very inward and reclusive, and I let it guide me, and I let it get me out, and I met all these people, and I had all these, and it just, became this whole other thing. Right. And then I got used to that, and it's been a few years of that. And now I'm being pulled in, and I don't know how long it lasts, but it's like, I know to trust it, trust the swings, trust when things shift, trust when the pole shifts, trust when they flip, trust your soul, and allow things to change. Allow things to change, and allow things to leave. Allow yourself to move on from things, and know that there's a wisdom, right? That we're held, okay? That we're held. All right, let's see here. What else? I might do a short reading today. Again, just because, I don't know, everything's changing. Okay, so death and magic. Yeah, exactly. So things dying off, and letting things die off, and letting things be like, I don't know. I've done this many times where I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to continue doing anything. I have no idea. I don't like that with Mystic. I'm like, I don't know. Am I going to be reading down there? I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to do a collective reading again. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I do them differently. Maybe, it's like everything's kind of up for grabs again, right? The emptying out and the clearing out, and then just listening and hanging in that unknown space. There's death and magic afoot. There's death and rebirth. Always with death is rebirth, but there's magic with this too. The Morrigan, and she's a bit of a Kali character as well. There might be some ripping away or tearing away, and just trusting, a real message of trusting. Okay, let me go. I got that first row. Let me go down below and see how they read on top of each other here. Quiet. Are you feeling quiet? I'm feeling quiet. I'm feeling soft. I'm feeling, So the sacrifice. Wow, the sacrifice. And there's the 4-4. So there's that number, that energy, that frequency of stability. And sometimes sacrificing something, letting something go, knowing that you're safe. So that's kind of what I was getting at. That's confirming what I was saying. The fours always come through as a number of safety for me. If you've been watching me for a while, you would have heard me talk about that anytime I'm going through some sort of threshold thing where things are shifting. This doesn't feel like a real fiery threshold. I was gonna say it feels more watery. Look, there's another 6, the 42, another 6, the Rainmaker. I was gonna say this feels more watery. It's more yin. It's feminine. Again, we're not in that fire yang burning off alchemical energy. We're in this releasing. The sacrifice is like a surrender. It's like, okay, I'll give this up. I'll let this go because you're asking me to, and because it's going. And so I let it go. I let it go, and I trust, and I surrender. And also in that, that real watery energy, but also the Rainmaker. It's kind of like bringing your ideas to life, implying that there are ideas, and my ear is ringing, and that there's a bringing, and that there's a reigning. It's like we're it's the vigil. We're creating something right now. We're holding vigil, we're making rain, but it implies that the rain is coming. We're holding space for ourselves and our own ideas, but it implies that the ideas are coming and that we're bringing those ideas to life. So it's this real, I love it. I love this energy, and it's what I've been feeling this. And even with all the rain and the snow that we had, I was like, ooh, this is matching. Now we're back in the sunshine again, but matching this energy of vigil and receiving, and again the 6, so we have 6 6 6 6, we have 4 6, what the 6, no, this is a 6 too, this is a 6, 6 6 6, 4 sixes, and then the 4s. Okay, so anyway, but the container, the 6, the bottom of the 6 is like the vessel, it's holding, it's what we're carrying in. We're capturing something right now. We're capturing the rain. We're calling the rain. We are the vessel. We are the vessel that's capturing the rain, and we're making space. Here's the cup. Here's the vessel, and it's us. It's us and our sacred container of our human self right now. The other thing that happened for me that morning, when I'm down in the desert, and that's where I don't feel as much of the disturbing frequencies. I don't feel other people's, nervous systems. I don't even know where the closest tower is down there. It's really, really empty. There's hardly any people there. It's just very spacious, and I can really hear. And I go almost every week, unless my son comes here. And so it's a time when I can really dive in, and I need that, and I have it every week, and it's just, gosh, so important. And so anyway, I was really connecting. I was sitting out in the sun, and I was looking out over the vastness of the open space. And I often, especially when I lived there, when I was there for more than one night, I would go out at night and I would connect with the stars. And when I would connect with the stars, I would connect with the galactics. And when I would connect with the galactics, I would connect with myself, and it would just get like so vast and so huge. And it was just like one big prayer and one big unification. And so I was feeling the land and the animals and the seeds. I was connecting with the seeds, because so many times in the spring and the summer, I'll wander out there and there will just be like fields of flowers that I don't even know are there. And I'm like, oh my God, like one year it was the orange poppies. Last year it was the Arizona caltrops. And so, and then another time, it's just always changing. And so it's like this oasis. It looks like nothing, but you wander out far enough and you're like, oh my God, and so I was thinking about all those seeds were under there and just waiting. Oh my God, again, waiting for the rain, the rains that would come, and then all those seeds would come up, and where were they? They were just waiting, and some of them might have been waiting for 10 years, so there's a message in that too, where the rain that's coming now, unearthing, just like my crystal that I had lost, but it was waiting there. It was just waiting for the right moment. And it was so beautiful. It's orange. It had like the iron in it. So it was like that amber peachy color, like an ember that was like just waiting to spark again, like a seed. All those wildflowers just waiting for the right combination of rain and warm enough weather and the sun, but not too much. And then boom, the whole field of flowers. There's something like that in this energy, where what we're doing right now, where there might be a sense of a sacrifice. We might be letting go of something. We might be letting go of money, or our homes, or a relationship, or some sort of security that we had, and yet it's creating this emptiness. There again is that feeling of emptiness, whether it's emptiness of clients, or emptiness of support, or emptiness of however you're feeling that emptiness in your life, or even just getting rid of things, and having your home feel different. Whenever I get rid of a bunch of stuff, my home feels different, and it feels empty, because there's empty space, but you can feel it energetically, and it might even feel a little uncomfortable. Like I had this rocking chair, that rocking chair right there, in front of my closet door in my bedroom, and I couldn't get in that bedroom, so it was just storage. And so I moved it out here, and I got rid of a bunch of stuff. I organized my closet. I can use my closet now. I put racks on the door so that jackets and stuff like that were easily accessible. I have a cat that eats clothes, so I have to be really careful with my clothes, and so stuff like that, so it got me to do that. But it's like there's like this empty space in my room now. It was really crowded, and I couldn't get in my drawer, and now it's like almost like too empty, right? So that can be this kind of energy as well, when a lot empties out, when you're moving on from something. it's like you have all this space, but where there's a void, it's like a vacuum, right? It's like the thunder, and then the boom, right? Clapping together. There's something like that. Again, the rain, where there's a sacrifice, where there's an emptying, there's a receiving, where there's an open space. There's the lightning, the Uranus energy. There's the lightning comes through, and we receive, right? Then we get to bring it forward. So there's the rain coming, and then the rain watering those seeds that have been underground within us, again, like the crystal. There it is, ready to be sparked. Memories, things coming back online. So a lot in this, and that's the magic and the death, where there's a rebirth as well, a rebirth of the memories I was talking about, the astral traveling, where you're back in certain power spaces, you're retrieving things, you're connecting with those seeds are sprouting, flowering. See, it's all in here. I have a feeling this is going to be kind of an more intuitive reading coming through. I'm really liking the way, look at that, the way her wings are. It's almost like peacock wings, but there's no color to them. Doesn't it kind of look like a peacock? And there's that blank canvas as well. It's like the energy is there. The energy is there, but it has to be fleshed out in the physical. So there's that, again, the ideas coming through and then bringing them to life. The sixes, the 6, bringing it down into life. But right now we're receiving the rain. We're receiving the seeds, right? The seeds are being watered inside of us. Okay. So let's see. Ooh, I'm doing these shaman oracle decks. I just love them. So I'm doing another one of those. I didn't finish my thought. I just remembered. So I was connecting with the seeds, the energy of the seeds under the ground. And I started thinking about, because when my kids were little and I lost custody of them and I was alone a lot, that's why I spent so much time alone, and I was very reclusive because I had a lot of pain. I had a lot of trauma and darkness from that time, that marriage, and then the loss of kids and all that. So I was in this real super, like, this death and magic. That's all I did. I was shaman alchemist all the time. Coming out into the world was kind of weird, but right, integrated enough to do that. Okay, so I did a lot of astral things. I didn't have the power to do anything for them, really. I saw them 6 days a month, and my ex wasn't taking care of them. They were neglected. They were just stuck in front of screens. They were hungry. They would call me, "Mom, I'm hungry." And I was like 2 hours away, and I would have text him, "Please feed them." It was horrible. So I did a lot in the astral. I would weave light in their rooms. I would send them dragons. I did a lot of visualization. I did a lot of journeying. And what was amazing is then when I would see them on the weekends that I had them, they would start talking about the imagery that I was sending them, or they would sing a song about it, or, and it happened so many times where I was like, oh my gosh, this is real. What we do behind the scenes in the astral is so real, because again, and I was talking about this in the last reading as well, it's all energy. And so what we're doing, we can move energy around very easily through our minds, through our imagination, through our intention. And that it's felt, it's felt to open receptacle, like children, and even people that aren't necessarily open, some part of them are, their subconscious is open. So again, coming back to the seeds and the rainmaker, and this type of thing. So I did a lot of that when my kids were young, and when I have a lot of time to myself, I tend to do that as well. It's kind of my natural nature, if I'm not pulled outward. Sometimes we're pulled outward, yang, time to give, support others, but it was time to go in and do that. And so I was seeing like the elementals and the gnomes walking around in the yard where my son does his gardening, and I was just back in that space, I was with the unicorns and the dragons and all of this. And so I was in the very sort of like elemental behind first with the seeds and the roots and the mycelium and the networking, and then with the devas of that and the elementals, and then it went galactic. So again, the polarities, we have the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine. We have the earth and the cosmic. And so I was connecting with the galactic again. And this time it wasn't like as an extension of me, like my higher aspects, like I'm the galactic, we're the galactics and we're from all over. I was feeling them as a human in my human body, where it was like like honoring the other races, feeling it as outside of me, which was very interesting because I usually feel everything as me, but it was outside of me. It was like I was a human, I was a human, and I was bridging between the invisible earth and the invisible space, and I was the human, but I was connected to both. So there's that bridging energy as well, where, and again, the seeing clearly, seeing 360, where that unification of all the pieces that are separate, and in some ways feeling them as separate, while you're in your human, not that they're outside of you, they're with you, but there's a bridging energy, and then what is that also? It's an anchoring. So there's the 6 again, me needing to be in my human and in my feminine energy, with my container, my vessel, like, hey, I'm here to catch you. I'm catching you down here, and I'm catching you up here, and I'm holding it all. It makes me want to weep. It's like holding it all together in the vessels that we are. And so that honoring of the human, and the importance of the human, and the importance of the feminine, because it's the feminine energy that holds all. She holds all of it. She holds all the polarities, all of it. Again, she's seeing 360, and she's there's a tooth mark in here as well. The kitties, the Lyran energy coming in. Speaking of the galactics, up in space here, holding it all. She sees it all, and she allows it all to be there. So I feel like there's something very important with that right now. There's a victory in that for those of us that are doing that now, taking time to ourselves, being in our feminine energy, and gathering. This was coming through as a gathering type of energy, where you're the rain maker. You're making the rain. You're also holding the rain. You're gathering it all in. It's like holding visual. Again, the 44, the security, the holding it down, the anchoring, being safe, knowing that those sacrifices. It's like you gain something from that when you sacrifice something. There's you sacrifice it so that you can receive something, so that you can honor something, right? I keep seeing this javelina jaw over there. I don't know why it just keeps popping out to me. Maybe the death, the death energy, the sacrifice is reminding me of the pagan times and the white animal, and different opinions on that. But anyway, the sacrifice in the true way, something within ourselves, letting go of something that's no longer serving, letting go of an ego action, of an ego need, of something that you got to hold on to so that you can feel safe, letting it go, sacrifice, surrender, so that you can receive. There's a lot of that in the energy right now. I'm feeling, oh wow. Okay, so the ancient ones. That's funny because I was talking about that when I connected with the Javelina skull, and in ancient times and ceremonies and sacrifice. And they understood, they understood cosmic law. They understood how these things worked. They understood the yin and the yang. They understood the cycles. They understood the emptying out before you fill in. They also understood that in order to receive, you have to know that you're going to receive, right? The rainmaker. How do you make rain? I heard this story recently. I was listening to somebody, I forget who it was, but he was telling the story of how it was somebody else's story. I don't remember I just remember the story, so I'm just going to tell it. And that he was connected with this Native American, an ancient one, and they were in a drought. I think it was in New Mexico actually, or Arizona. And they went out to the land, and the guy was thinking like, oh, we're gonna do some huge ceremony, and we're gonna make it rain, and he brought all his tools and his props, and the native, just went out and closed his eyes. I think he took his shoes off, and he just stood there on the earth, and he just was quiet for maybe a minute. And then he was like, okay, let's go. And the guy was like, well, wait, aren't we gonna do the ceremony? Are we gonna do this big thing? And the native was like, no, I already did it, and he just went, and he just connected, and he said what he did is he felt the rain beneath his feet, and he felt the water coming down on him, and he felt the seeds underneath receiving, like being so happy with it. And then the next day it rained, he brought rain. But what he did was he just connected with the energy of it. So the ancient ones, and knowing, so we were talking about this in the last reading as well, you have to believe it to see it. So there's that sacrifice as well. Sacrificing the need to know everything, sacrificing the need to hustle and make it work and like have that appointment book all filled up so that you can feel safe. It's like, no, this is a time for emptying. So I'm sacrificing that, and I'm sacrificing my feeling of safety so that I can, knowing that this rain is coming, knowing that this rain is coming. And so, so this is cool. So I was out yesterday. So my dad, and if we're friends on Facebook, you might have seen this as well, but I'll say this with my voice. My dad and I are connecting in a different way now. We've always had speaking of native, we've always had this sort of connection, a quiet, energetic connection. And we would, I remember one of the only presents he ever gave me was like a dream catcher and a dream book. It's like somehow he knew that about me. We're not like super close. I'm a verbal person. And I was like, obviously I have Gemini, Moon, and Mars in my first house. And so I connect through conversation. That's my love language. And my dad's very quiet and we don't really talk. And I always thought he didn't really like me. This kind of thing. And there are, we've had our issues over the years, but we always had this sort of quiet connection to the earth and to the land. So now he and I are connecting through like birds and through, okay, I'll just tell the story. So I was out the one day and I was, yeah, it's related. I was, for the last 4 years, I've been really, really exploring on lots and lots and lots of different levels, the fact that we create our realities. And so I saw it in a flash. It like came really strong for me where I was like, oh my God. And it was terrifying because it's like, I can either create my demise or I can create my thriving and my heaven on earth. And I knew it was all on me. And it was terrifying because I was like, I don't think I'm strong enough or disciplined enough or focused enough to not create my decline, my death, my sickness, I don't think I can do it. And I was like terrified. I'm like, I can't believe this is all on me, but I knew it was. And so for the last 4 years, I've been playing with this. And then a lot of that, so this is coming out underneath this with the kind of clearing out, the seeing 360, letting things go. I had to let go of a lot of fear programs. I had to let go of a lot of that programming, right? So there's that sacrifice. You let go of the things, the false things that make you feel safe, like, and you surrender them. You let them go. In trade for your power. In trade for your power, you let go of the false power that you give to somebody else. You let it go and you suspend so that you can get your true power, your true creation abilities. And in order to do that, you have to believe it. You have to believe it, right? So I was out there. So I was playing around with these things. I was always sort of exploring, like, well, how does this work? So I was like, okay. I really want to have an encounter. I was out alone in the forest. I want to have a close encounter, real close, with a hawk. I want to have a close encounter with a hawk. And so I was, and then I forgot about it. I was like, I'm not going to obsess about this. I put my order in and then we'll see what happens. I want to see if I can do this. Is this how it works? Can I just do it? Is it working like that? And so I didn't see a hawk. As I was driving home from the forest, my dad texts me. My dad never texts me, ever. I don't think my dad has ever been like, hey, how are you doing? How are you? It's like we just do not have that kind of relationship. Dude texts me and says, I wanted to share with you today about my hawk encounter. I think he even uses the word encounter. He's like, I was napping outside. He always naps outside in the sun every day. He's smart like that, right? He just has that ancient knowing, just like me. And he's out there and he says, I open my eyes and there's a hawk sitting on the fence and it's looking at me. And we just looked at each other, and then he talks about the natives and how I'm sure they would know something about this. And I've always felt a connection to the natives. And I was like, oh, I didn't really know that about you, Dad, but it makes sense. And I think that's our connection, this and that. The hawk went to him, the hawk went to him. And I told him about that, whether he registered that as not or not, and then it created this beautiful encounter between me and my dad. So that was maybe like, I don't know, like maybe 5 or 6 months ago. And actually this connects to the next story I wanted to tell. For Christmas, I haven't gotten my parents presents for Christmas in a very, very long time because I just haven't had the money. But again, not being in poverty consciousness, it's like, well, I have money right now and I'm not going to skimp and be like, oh, I can't do this. It's like, I have it now. I feel the energy to do this. So I'm going to do it. Again, trusting, knowing that more is coming. That abundance flow where you're in the abundance mindset. You're not, if you're like, no, I can't, then the universe is like, oh, you can't. Oh, we're cinching the back and forth flow of prosperity and money and energy. Okay, well, that's what we'll do then. Whereas if you're giving and you're allowing, then you're allowing both ways, right? It's a two-way door. Anyway, I wanted to get him a hawk something. I wanted to get him like a little stone hawk, like a carved little animal thing, because when I was younger, I would get those little animal things. And he would build me like little curios to put them in, and he was always gifting me little animals. So I wanted to gift him one, but I couldn't find one. But I did find a local artist who painted a red-tailed hawk, chest up of this hawk, and I got a print of it, and so I mailed it to him. So he wrote to me and he thanked me for that gift, and then a little while later, he wrote to me, and so this was right around his birthday. His birthday is right at the end of December as well, and so he says to me, I want to how did he say, a skeleton head. I want a skeleton head when you're out in the desert or out in the forest. Get me one. And I was like, I love that my dad just like put it in order, and I was like, well, I've only ever seen two, and one of them, okay, there it is again, the javelina jaw. And one of them was like either a wolf or a very big dog head, and I had it in my yard and somebody stole it. Okay, so I was like, I've only in the 18 years that I've been in this area, and I said, but I bet we're going to find one. I bet I'll find one now that we've talked about this. And so yesterday on my birthday, my friend and I are out and we're down by the creek, and we have this amazing day. And I told her the story on the walk in of my dad and the skull. And we were both just like, yeah, I'm certain we're going to find one. You could feel the energy of it. But again, it was the belief. I could have been like, oh, well, I haven't found one in 18 years, or I've only found two in 18 years, and it's been like a decade since I found one, and that's nice, Dad, that you want one, But I was like, no, it's gonna happen, And so we were talking about that. So we walk out we were sitting on the creek, and we walk out, and she goes, Wendy, she has better eyesight than I do, Wendy, and I said, what? She goes, fuck, and I looked down, and there's a skull. And I think it's a deer skull. And there's a skull. It was all dirty. It must have been in the water and washed up. It was in the mud, so I have to clean it up. But we wrapped it up, and I took it home, and I'm going to clean it up. And I showed my dad. I was like, Dad, look what I found. So this was just 2 weeks after he asked me. So for me, and it was on my birthday, so it was a birthday present. And so it's for him. It's his present. But for me, the present is that, it's like you put something out there and you believe in it, and it comes to you because you're lining up the energy. You're lining up the energy. You're focusing on it. You know that it doesn't matter what the 3D or what the past has been, right? The magic in this realm. It's not even magic. It's just how things work. If you believe in something and you focus on something and you align with it and you don't have any doubt, and all you have in the field is this, like the rain, here's the rain. I feel the rain is coming. The rain comes. I was like, I feel the skull is coming. It's mine. And it came, right. Same thing with the money. It's like, yeah, I'm not having anything right now, and I might not for a while, and I might not have Mystic, which is great advertising and great. First of all, I love it. I love connecting with people. I meet people. I read for people all across all walks of life. One time I had this, I had like 6 teenage boys come in, and there was one teenage boy, and he was sitting in the seat, and then all 5 of the rest of them in this tiny little room were standing behind him. And I was like, you guys realize this is a tarot reading? Like, I'm going to be talking about soul. I'm going to be talking, and they were all like, yeah. And they would kind of turn around and giggle and stuff. But this guy had the most amazing reading. He was native, and he had all this like intuitive energy and all this guidance, and I'm channeling through all this stuff, and all these teenage boys, and some of them I could tell they were like, they were thinking about it, and and then reading for old Mexican grandmothers, and all these things. It's just like the best thing ever. I love reading down there, and it's people walk in, travelers and synchronicity and magic all day long. But maybe I'm not going back. I don't know. Maybe I'm not, maybe I'm not. But again, it's like the skull is that representation of, just believe it, know it, feel it, and it will come. So it's like everything is coming for us. So if you're in that survival energy where you're like, I still don't have a home. Some people, I know a lot of people that like haven't had their own home in a long time, and they kind of bounce around. I've had a home. I've had this home, for a long time, 18 years, but there are a lot of other things that I don't have, I just don't have. And it's like sacrificing, it's like emptying the purse so that it can be filled later, so that it can be filled with that rain. And a lot of us have done that, and we have sacrificed, going without partners, going without support, going without, just making ends meet every month, or that kind of thing, and yet always having what we need and always being taken care of. And it's not that we're not having because we're failures or we can't get it right. We're not having because we're sacrificing. Our souls are sacrificing so that we can understand cosmic law, so that we can understand when we trust and when we surrender and when we relax and release and know, when we trust our knowings, that everything comes, and starting to see. So I've been seeing that over the years, and I've been learning it more with my body. When I have something physically wrong with my body, when I just trust and I don't worry about it, it moves through so quickly. It's like I haven't been sick in like I don't know, 15 years. It's like I'll feel something come through, I just relax and release, and then it's gone. It's like just, I don't know, and trusting the guidance, bringing the ideas to life around like what nutritional support or supplements, or when to eat this stuff and when not to, and just trusting yourself, that kind of thing. And the same thing with money, like knowing when to know, I feel to be frugal right now, and knowing when, even if you don't have any money, you're like, it feels right to do this, and so I'm going to do this, and then boom, the money for it comes right on time or right afterwards or something like that, right? Trusting, believing, and so a lot of us that have gone without things have learned what the ancients knew. They knew that cosmic law. They knew that the ones, the magician, the creator, we're the creators. We're creating and getting in that right alignment. And allowing, when you fall outside of the system and you fall outside of the support of the system, you fall into cosmic support, and you see that one is much, much more reliable. So if you are somebody that's losing something right now and it's kicking up fears or survival, or even as you look around at the world and you see all these things leaving, and it might scare you, and you might feel like, oh gosh, everything's crumbling. It's the false security that's crumbling, and what's replacing it is what the ancients knew, is that wisdom, and it is that right alignment, and how to have our minds and our focus and our consciousness. And so I talked about this a lot in the last reading, in sort of more of a fiery alchemical way. I had come out of sort of an alchemy type of experience. Now it's a similar message, but it's very watery, and you'll notice that, going through the different elements, and that's that magician energy as well, that the ancients had as well. When to use water, when to use fire, when to lean into earth, and when to lean into air, and when to use them all, and that shape shifting into whatever is the best medicine at that time. Even if sometimes people aren't going to like you, for that, you might trigger a certain person, one certain aspect of your energy, or the archetype that we're moving in and out of might trigger a certain type of people. But again, knowing that, again, those divine catalysts, right? Those divine things that are the things that we might be losing or sacrificing, or I was a divine catalyst. I triggered a friend of mine. She knew that's what was going on. She was so graceful about it. And just allowing those purges, and trusting that's the other thing. It's like, not everybody has to always like us, right? Sometimes we're going to play the catalyst, and like my friend was very aware, and she didn't get mad at me or anything like that. She was just like, oh, and it opened up all these conversations, and it, and it helped me to like purge some of this like lingering of guilt around these things and this kind of thing. And I did the same thing with people that were triggering me, like in weeks past when I was talking about that. People, other people not knowing that you're divinely appointed by the energy that they're broadcasting out in their hologram, and you were just the one that showed up to play that character to get them to see whatever it was they needed to see in their death and magic process. They might really get mad at you or block you or unfollow you or thumbs down you or something like that, and that's okay, because we're still playing our roles. And again, that ancient wisdom of knowing that it's not the program, it's not the linear, it's not the win-win-win that everybody likes you, the popularity context. No, it's just allowing life to move through you. Sometimes you're yin, sometimes you're yang, sometimes you're a bitch, sometimes you're really nice, sometimes you're Kali, your Mother Mary, you're Shiva, you're all of it, you're a dragon, you're a fairy, you're a galactic, you're the elemental, you're the gnome, everything, right? There's that feminine energy again that holds all of it, and it holds all of it in us through our vessel, where we're not blocking ourselves or filtering ourselves. And that, which is interesting, because when I came on, I was like, I don't really have anything to say, but I knew I was being guided to do a reading, and it was like, just start talking, just let it come through you. Sometimes the action is to have a lot of dreams and a lot of decoding and to share the decoding. And sometimes it's just to be straight water, straight rain, and allowing it all, allowing it all. and trusting that through you, and even and not worrying, because I know a lot of us are caught up on the people, or a lot of us are unraveling, the people pleasing, or the, pretzeling yourself so that you don't offend people or whatever. And it's like, but then you're not, again, the six, you're not allowing your ever changing divine muse creation to move through you and to anchor on this plane. You're pretzeling around other people's distortions, or you're pretzeling around what we've been corralled to do. It's for other people's gain and all this. And so it's like a lot of this is this time that we're taking for ourselves, and this emptying out. I'm using this card in a lot of different ways, but is because it has a lot of different meanings. But anyway, is allowing our vessel, our body, our human, again, the human, to be whatever it is that wants to go through for that organic moment. Trusting. I used to, when I would do energy sessions, I would always say all kinds of weird stuff. I still do. But then when the people would leave, I would like panic, because my consciousness, my integration wasn't caught up with the things that were coming through me. And so I didn't understand what I was saying, and it made me very, very uncomfortable. But then later I'd come across some article, or I'd have some conversation with somebody, some YouTube or something that would explain to me what I was receiving, and it would validate it over and over and over again. So I learned to trust. And eventually I remember I was in the forest. It's another one of those ones I can remember exactly where I was in the forest, exactly what the incline was of the thing. And I can't remember though if I was alone or if my friend was there. It was either a friend or it was like a guide, But anyway, I just said it like unequivocally, like I'm always bringing through exactly what needs to be brought through. That doesn't mean I'm perfect. That doesn't mean I'm always right. That doesn't mean that it's always exactly what people want to hear, but it's exactly what it's like when you dedicate yourself to be a vessel for whatever needs to come through, then that's what you're choosing. That's what you're allowing. That's what you're affirming. And then you'll start to see, like me with the validation later on, that's what's happening. And the more you trust it, the more it can happen, because you're creating it as you trust it. Same thing with the money. Same thing with, with our services. Same thing with our intuition, with everything, right? Whew. I'm a little dizzy. I also think I need to eat because I didn't go to the co-op. I'm doing this instead, which is making this more channeling reading. But okay, so I'm going to finish out this row, and then I will, where am I at? Oh my God, I'm over an hour. Wow, this is a long reading. Yeah, no time, no space. Just bringing it through the Emperor. So there's that apex of sovereignty. That's how I see the Emperor, the apex of sovereignty. There's another 4, the 4, the anchoring. So again, just claiming your power, claiming our power, and claiming our ability to be, to connect with this part of ourselves, this part of ourselves that knows, and knowing that when we make that leap and when we come into ourselves, what we're getting, the information that we're getting. So there's that divine masculine energy, right underneath the feminine, where we're receiving from ourselves. We're getting that idea, bring those ideas to life. It's him. It's our inner masculine that's taking action and bringing it into life. And there's that polarity, that balance of our polarity, which is that God fractal. When you have your inspiration and your action together, then you're creating from your divinity, planting it, the 6s, planting it onto the earth at this time. All right, let's see what comes out over the death and rebirth, the death and magic with the Morgan. Let's see what comes out. And then I will close out since I'm over an hour now. Okay. The High Priestess. Oh, it's so beautiful. The High Priestess and the Emperor. So there she is, bringing through the information through her channel, and there he is confidently bringing it forward in the world. And also the chess piece, knowing that whatever it is, he's not like, you can't do that. You can't say that. People aren't going to like you, or you can't follow that. You're not going to have any money. You're not going to be able to feed your children. You can't just relax into that. But no, instead he's like, okay, I trust you. I feel the energy of your alignment, and I will stand by you. When you say do nothing, we do nothing. And when your guidance says to take action, we take action. And so there's that pair ending on that beautiful pair, that beautiful alignment. So it's that yin and that yang. And when you're in the yin, and you're just receiving, and you don't have any outer action, and you're losing track of time, and you forget to eat, and you're talking for over an hour, as an example, that's the energy that I'm in. it's okay. It has its place. Sometimes we can swing a little far on the pendulum. You know, we can let it swing, and it'll swing back, and it'll also cover all the places in between in the middle. There's that shape-shifting energy. If you can go the whole way over here, then you're going to be able to go the whole way over here, and you're going to be able to be everything else in between. And knowing that you can trust, you can trust what's coming through you, and you can trust taking action on it, even if it doesn't make sense to your linear mind or to anybody else in your realm or in your reality. Even if it makes people not like you, know that you're playing your role. You're playing your role, and the more you can surrender to that and to trust that, the more you're going to be in that abundant flow. Again, all those messages with the rainmaker and the seeds, and activating and receiving those seeds, watering those seeds from long ago, those memories that are coming online, and the listening and the victory in all of this. Remember, our second card is the Six of Wands, the victory card. So huge victory going on right now in terms of the balancing of our polarities, the emptying out, the making space for that, the trusting. I'm going to end there. Because I feel like I could just keep going and going, and I'm just going to end there. That feels like a complete message. So I hope that resonated for some of you. And again, always, I love hearing whatever synchronicities or resonance that you have, anchoring the energy and building the community in that way. So, yeah. So anyway, blessings on this time, and thank you for joining, and I'll see you next time if I do. Okay.